Lamb and His might, and the sight is stunning. God's wrath is coming, God's wrath is coming. All the wicked will be punished at the final judgment. God's wrath is coming, God's wrath is coming. He's gonna vindicate His name at the second coming.
Today, I want to talk to you about the book of Revelation. I want to show you how easy it is to understand. I want you to see how it is outlined and how it is structured in a way that is so simple that you will never be deceived about this book again.
Chapter 6. And I saw when the Lamb opened one of the seals, and I heard, as it were, the noise of thunder, one of the four beasts saying,
Come and see!
And I saw, and behold, a white horse, and he that sat on him had a bow, and a crown was given unto him, and he went forth conquering and to conquer. And when he had opened the second seal, I heard the second beast say,
Come and see!
And there went out another horse that was red, and power was given to him that sat thereon to take peace from the earth, and that they should kill one another. And there was given unto him a great sword. And when he had opened the third seal, I heard the third beast say,
Come and see!
And I beheld, and lo, a black horse, and he that sat on him had a pair of balances in his hand. And I heard a voice in the midst of the four beasts say,
A measure of wheat for a penny, and 3 measures of barley for a penny. And see thou hurt not the oil and the wine.
And when he had opened the fourth seal, I heard the voice of the fourth beast say,
Come and see!
And I looked, and behold, a pale horse, and his name that sat on him was Death. And hell followed with him, and power was given unto them over the fourth part of the earth, to kill with sword, and with hunger, and with death, and with the beasts of the earth.
Join us as we hold on until the end. Okay, today we're going to discuss the book of Revelation. We're going to try to understand how the components and the pieces work together. All right, we're going to learn about the outline and the structure of the book of Revelation. We're not going to talk about the symbols, the symbolic interpretations in this presentation. So no beasts and horns and all these other symbols that are in there. So we're going to avoid the symbolic interpretation until you understand the outline and the structure first. It's very, very important you lay this foundation. So many people are putting the cart before the horse. They're trying to understand all the symbols and they have no idea how the structure and the outline are set up. It's very important. So let's get into it, the outline. First, you have the first chapter, which is an introduction. John is receiving this information from an angel who has received it from Jesus himself. And then the next 2 chapters, Revelation chapter 2 and 3, are the 7 letters to the 7 churches. Now these 7 churches were literal churches in John's day and age, but the letters also are written to all the churches throughout history, in all the different stages of the churches, as well as this final generation. It speaks to us today. So these letters are very important for this final hour as well. Revelation chapter 4 and 5 is a vision in heaven, and then Revelation chapter 6 through 19, we see the 7 seals, the 7 trumpets, and the 7 bowls. This presentation is going to basically focus on this part so that you understand how these components all fit together, so you're no longer confused about the tribulation and the wrath and when's the rapture and all these things, how it's chronological versus what's simultaneous. Okay? Then the last part of the book of Revelation, the last 3 chapters, we see the judgment of God. We see the return of Christ, and we see the setting up of the kingdom and the new heaven and the new earth. But first, let me explain the difference between the chronological order versus the abstract metaphors that randomly appear in the book of Revelation. one of the reasons the book of Revelation is hard to understand for people is because they don't know that the book is both chronological and metaphorical, and it goes back in time. It gives you a broad picture of events, and then it slows down, reverses time, goes all the way back, and gets into the intricate details about what it just told you before. For instance, have you ever seen a movie that starts off with the ending? The movie actually shows you how it's going to end. In the very beginning of the movie, you see how it's going to end. And then it reverses and it starts all the way from the beginning. For an example, I remember seeing a gangster movie when I was younger, and these gangsters were all standing in a circle pointing guns at each other, and they killed each other and they all three died. And then it goes all the way back to the beginning and shows you as they were kids growing up, and it shows you how their lives were turned out, how they got involved in the mafia and all that. That's kind of the concept of what happens in the book of Revelation. For instance, there's really only 6 seals. The 7th seal is not chronological. It is a reversal of time and goes all the way back into the details of what happens in the first 6 seals. Now, we're going to show you charts on this and explain it again, but I want to give you an overview right now, and then we're going to go back over it so you can see how it works. Listen to me very carefully. If you understand this, you're going to be miles ahead of people and what they're explaining about this book. They have no idea how it all works together. You're going to be miles ahead by the glory and grace of God. Thank you, Lord. Let me say that again. The first 6 seals are really in chronological order. The 7th seal is not in chronological order. The 7th seal doesn't happen after the 6th seal. The 7th seal goes back in time and gives us all the details of the trumpets, the Antichrist, the mark of the beast, the wars, and the bowls. It even shows you in there where the rapture is going to be. So it's just details of what's going to happen in the first 6 seals. The 6 seals are in chronological order, the 7th seal is not. Now, if you can understand that, you'll be doing great. Also, there are chapters in the Bible that have nothing to do with the chronology. They go back in time and they explain more of the details. For instance, chapter 12 is a metaphorical, symbolic picture of really the last 2,000 years, about the woman and the dragon and the baby and the seed. It goes all the way from the beginning when Christ was born, how he was caught up into heaven, and it goes all the way into the future where he'll be pursuing the Israel and the remnant of her seed, the Christians, in the tribulation hour. So it's a picture of 2,000 years. And so it's not in chronology. It's not a chronological order. Revelation 13, another one. It's a chapter about the Antichrist, how the 2 beasts rise up. These 2 beasts take centuries and millennial to rise up. But it culminates in the tribulation hour where we see what's going to happen. They're going to come after the Christians. They're going to enforce the mark of the beast and all these things with the image of the beast. And we see the details of what's happening in Revelation chapter 13. Same thing with 14, Revelation 14. It's another metaphorical picture of these angels coming in and what's going to happen and some warnings that are going to take place. It picks back up in 15 and 16 in chronology again. 15, 16, and then 17 and 18 is 2 chapters where it pictures the destruction of Babylon. And so, once again, I want to explain to you before we go back into the charts that the book of Revelation is both in chronological order, date sequences, and it reverses time and it goes into the details. It covers the same period of time twice. I've heard people say that the book of Revelation just repeats itself at chapter 13, and that's not true. It doesn't just repeat itself. There are a few chapters that go back in time and give you more details about what's been told. Okay, I'll give you an example. In the 6th seal, we see the wrath of God coming. The islands disappear, the mountains are leveled, and the wrath of God comes. That's the end. That is literally the end when Christ comes back to set up his kingdom. So if that's the end, then all the rest of the Revelation shouldn't be taking place. But it does. Because in Revelation chapter 7, it starts going back into the details. The trumpets have to be blown. The bowls have to come out. Okay, so when does the wrath of God come out? We see the wrath of God beginning to be announced, and then we see it coming out and literally being fully poured onto the earth in chapter 16. So again, although it says in the 6th seal that the wrath of God has come and the islands are disappearing and the mountains are leveled, that really doesn't happen in details until you get to the 16th chapter. So you got some correlations between the 6th chapter and the 16th chapter that actually coincide perfectly in time. So if you can understand that, when you read the book of Revelation, you want to figure out, okay, is this in chronological order, or is this a picture of something that's already been discussed, or is this a more detailed picture of what was already talked about? So that's what you need to focus on. Is this chronological, or is this a metaphorical picture, or is this a detailed, intricate explanation of what was already told? Keep that all in mind. The 7 seals. We've got the 7 seals, the 7 trumpets, and the 7 bowls in Revelation chapter 6 through 19. The 7 seals, the 7 trumpets, and the 7 bowls. What you need to understand is that everything is within the seals. The trumpets are within the seals, and the bowls are within the seals. All right? The 7 seals. We're going to figure out what's chronological in order and what is not in chronological order. All right? Starting with the 7 seals, I want you to understand how the 7 seals, the 7 trumpets, and the 7 bowls all work together. What's chronological in sequence and what is not. All right? The 4 horsemen is a good starting place. We've got seal 1, seal 2, seal 3, and seal 4. That's the 4 horsemen riding in. We're going to explain how these 4 horsemen ride in by how they start and where they end. It's very important that you understand the chronological order and the sequences of these 4 horsemen. The starting and the ending points for these seals or apocalyptic horsemen. All right? So you have a starting point and you have an ending point. All right? Seal 1 to seal 6. And this is the time frame for all of the trumpets and the bowls, including the apocalyptic 4 horsemen. All right? The 7th seal, as you see here, the 7th seal is not in chronological order. Now this is so important that you understand. The 7th seal is not in chronological order. It does not come after the 6th seal is done. It is contained within the first 6 seals. Okay, let's start with seal 1. The rider on the white horse, the very first one. He is opened up and he continues to ride until the end, until the 6th seal. He continues to go until the 6th seal. All right, the 2nd seal is opened up a little bit after the first seal. You see how he comes in after the first seal, but they end at the same time, at the 6th seal. So the first seal, the first rider on the horse opens first. He goes all the way to the 6th seal. And before he gets to the 6th seal, the 2nd seal is open. The 2nd rider on the horse comes in. And he's also headed towards the 6th seal. And then you have the 3rd seal open, the 3rd horseman. He comes in. As the other 2 riders are heading towards the 6th seal, the 3rd seal is open, the 3rd rider joins along with them, and they're all headed to the 6th seal. And then you have the 4th seal, the 4th rider on the horse. Same process. As all the horses are riding, they're all joining each other, they're all growing in strength, they're all coming faster, and they're all headed to the same exact point in time, the 6th seal. And finally, we have the 5th seal, which is not one of the horsemen, but it is the shortest seal that we have, and it happens just as the 4 horsemen are approaching the 6th seal. We finally have the 5th seal open, and they're all headed towards the 6th seal together. When they all culminate, when they all reach the climax, when they all come to the same point, we will have the end of the tribulation, the resurrection, rapture, and then the sixth seal, which is the wrath of God. The sixth seal we will not be here for. We have a rapture event. We have the resurrection event that takes place before the sixth seal is open. We will be here for the fifth seal. All right? Let's look at it this way. Seal 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 are all in chronological order. Seal 7 is not, so we're going to take it out of there. All right, the 7 trumpets and the 7 bowls happen in the 6 seals. That's what the 7th seal is. The 7th seal is nothing more than the 7 trumpets and the 7 bowls, which happens before the 6th seal is ended. So they have to take place within the 6 seals. So the first 6 seals are chronological. The 7th seal is not. It is nothing but more than the details of the trumpets and the bowls, right? All's contained within the first 6 seals. Okay, I hope you understand that. Don't forget that. You kind of got an idea of how it's unfolding right here, although I don't like how he's got the 7th seal right here, as if it's chronologically after the 6th seal right here. He should have it over here underneath, but he still has the chart relatively well in that the 7th seal right here contains the 7 trumpets, as well as you'll learn later, the 7th trumpet right here contains the 7 bowls. These are chronological. The trumpets and the bowls are chronological, but the 7th seal that contains them is not chronological to the 6 seals. I hope you understand that. The 7 trumpets and the 7 bowls are within the first 6 seals. All right? We have a line right here. We can divide a line right here between the first 5 seals and the 6th seal. These are all chronological. They happen back to back in sequence. But when we get to the 5th seal and after the 5th seal, we have a line that's divided between the first 5 and the 6th. All right? The first 5 is the tribulation period. All right? And the 6th seal is the wrath of God. Okay, so you see the difference between the tribulation period and the wrath of God. The lines drawn between the first 5 seals and the 6th seal. The 7 trumpets are going to blow within the 5th seal. By the time the 5th seal ends, by the time the 4 apocalyptic horse come in, the 7 trumpets are going to have been fulfilled as well. This all happens before the 6th seal, because we're raptured at the last trumpet, the 7th trumpet, after the horses come in, after the 5th seal is open, after the 7 trumpets are blown, before the 6th seal, before the wrath of God, and before the bowls are poured out. You see how that chart's looking? All the trumpets are blown sometime before the 6th seal. That's the tribulation period again. And then the 7 bowls are the wrath of God at the 6th seal. That happens after we are raptured out. That's the wrath of God. We will not be here for the wrath of God. The 7 trumpets are going to blow before we get to the 6th seal. Before the 6th seal is open, the first resurrection, rapture event will happen at the 7th trumpet, at the end of the 5th seal, before the 6th seal is open. Once the 6th seal is open, we will be off the planet, having our wedding supper with the Lord, being judged, while the 7 bowls are being poured out on the earth. We will not physically be here with the Lord at that time. There will be a period of time in heaven with the Lord at the supper while the 7 bowls are being poured out on the earth. All right? We have the 7 trumpets blowing before the 6th seal. We have the first resurrection rapture event taking place before the 6th seal. And all that's going to happen before the wrath of God is poured out.
God's wrath is coming. Christ is coming on the clouds. See the clouds running. God's wrath is coming. God's wrath is coming. Behold the Lamb